trying to hold 5 transactions together with duct tape and a nail gun. It's a great house. It's exactly where they wanted to be. It was perfect.
Dun, dun, dun. They didn't have an agent helping them?
They went ahead and they bought this house directly from this guy because he told them he'd give them a better deal.
What a predicament.
The stress level was real.
If you're thinking, I'm gonna sell my house this spring, you better get your poop together now. I'm gonna need to come over and tell you what you need to do to get your home ready.
There are so freaking many old commercial buildings that there's nothing in them. I do think with the volume of houselessness we experience in the Kansas City area, this is one of those things that really takes a more concerted effort.
I wanted to talk about something that nobody talks about, which is the negative side effects of these things. I had an addiction and I had to break that addiction. It was one of the toughest things that I've ever had to do.
Welcome to the Moxie and Jana show.
I mean, we are spilling some real tea up in her, okay?
So we have aptly named our little show, Spilling Real Tea with Jana and Moxie.
Get it? Tune in and listen to us share all our crazy, wildly unbelievable crap that we see, do, and navigate in the insane world of real estate.
And we're talking everything.
We got it all, y'all.
Straight out of KC, and we spilling it.
Hi, Jana.
Hey, girl, hey.
How are you today?
You're actually not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. What about you?
Man, I feel so much better.
Do you want to elaborate on why that is?
Because I took a good solid poop and I feel so much better. Nothing like a good dookie.
Oh my God.
I'm such a lady. What can I say?
You're so sweet.
Hey, you know what? When you gotta go, you gotta go.
It's
okay?
true.
Okay.
It's true. It's true.
So
What?
I feel so much better.
I'm glad. It's really important that you're normal, perky, excited, goofy self for these things. It's really important.
Yeah, because about 15 minutes ago, I was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Talking about how you were going to vomit.
And then I pooped. And now I'm like, yeah.
And here we are.
True story. I was like, I might throw up. And now here we are. I'm better. It's story time. You're up.
Sweet. All right. I have a fucking doozy. Okay. And I've been saving it. I've kind of like talked about it a little bit, but not like full on like we're about to do right now. I can't even freaking believe this. So I made a Facebook post last week and I said, I'm trying to hold 5 transactions together with duct tape and a nail gun. And I wasn't joking.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
The last 2 weeks have been by far the most stressful. So this particular story is about a situation where I've known these clients for a really long time. In fact, she used to work for me in my past life, when I was a software executive and had a huge team before I got laid off and told them where they could shove it. She used to work for me. So I know her really well. Okay. And we have great rapport. We have great connection. And anyway, so they came to me like 5 years ago and they wanted to buy a house, but they couldn't really like qualify then. There was just some cleanup stuff that needed to happen. They just didn't qualify. So they went around and did this seller finance deal and they picked this property that actually it's a great house. I mean, it's a great house in Independence. It's exactly where they wanted to be. It was perfect. Was it maybe in the best condition possible? Absolutely not. And this particular owner, which we're going to get to a lot of, is just shady as fuck. Like shady as fuck. And he basically locked them into this ridiculous contract where he was supposed to be escrowing and paying for their taxes out of their mortgage payment, which he wasn't doing. In fact, when they bought the house, when they seller financed and bought this house, he was already 2 years behind on his taxes and didn't disclose it. So they had no idea. Okay. And they signed this contract and he was supposed to transfer the deed into their name. Well, he never did that. Ever.
Oh, no.
So,
and okay, hang on 1 second. They didn't have an agent helping them?
They went ahead and they bought this house directly from this guy because he told them he'd give them a better deal if they didn't have any agents involved. So they moved on. They went ahead and bought it.
Oh.
Yeah. So they know better now. We've talked about those kinds of things a little bit, but so they buy this house from this guy who's actually really shady, and they didn't really do a lot of research on him because I think had they done that at that time, they would have found all of the other court cases from when he's tried to screw people over in the same kind of process, but they didn't. Someone wanted to sell them a house. They felt lucky to be able to buy it. Okay. So they weren't asking a lot of questions. They weren't pushing things, like they were whatever.
What is that called? Not looking a gift horse in the mouth or something like that?
They were
punching a gift horse.
They were counting their lucky stars. They thought they were special.
Do you punch a gift horse in the mouth, or do you just, what do you do with a gift horse? I don't really know. You just look at it, say thank you.
Well, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I don't know what you're supposed to do instead. I don't know what the I
bet you in this case, they wish they had punched the gift horse in the mouth.
For real. I can't. Oh my God. Okay. So they signed this contract, right? And in this contract, it says he's going to escrow taxes and he will pay the taxes.
What does that mean? What is escrow?
In your normal purchase of a home, you have what's called escrows, where you have homeowners insurance and taxes that are collected and held out of your monthly mortgage payment. And then on some kind of cadence, whether it's twice a year or once a year, the escrow account pays out your taxes and insurance for you. So they basically collect and pay, right?
Just so you know, I knew what that meant. I was just saying for like our audience.
I appreciate that.
So that people out there weren't like, Moxie doesn't know what an escrow account is. I promise I do. Anyway, I digress.
She was just assisting me in my storytelling.
Yes, I was just trying to help.
So this contract says he's going to do that, right? But he hasn't told them that he's already behind on their taxes. Also, let's keep in mind, this particular contract had 2 parcels. The parcel that the house is sitting on, and then for some strange fucking reason, there was a little dinky ass parcel off to the side that was basically their entire side yard. The yard from their house to the neighbor's house was the second parcel. Well, because he never disclosed that he was behind on his taxes, he never disclosed that he wasn't even paying the taxes, that little strip of property got auctioned and sold.
Oh, okay. Without your current clients knowing this, right?
Correct. Yeah.
They live there. They potentially have a dog that poops over there, but they have no idea that this place just got sold.
Until the guy shows up and is like, hey, I just bought the property next door. They're thinking the whole house next door. He's like, no, I'm going to build a house on this little strip of land. He clearly didn't have an agent either, because he would have looked at the zoning and the setback rules and he wouldn't have bought that piece of little strip of property. He can't build shit there. So anyway, he's let it.
Right.
It looks disgusting. But anyway, little strip of property, they lose it. That was part of their purchase. They paid $50,000 for this house. That property was part of their purchase. Gone. Nothing they can do about it. But that's when they discovered that he hadn't been paying the tax bill and their house was about to be auctioned.
Oh, gosh. That they've been making payments on.
Yeah. Taxes are only about $74 a month, and this jackass is holding out $130 a month for their taxes, roughly. And he wasn't paying them.
And not paying it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So then they discover that their house.
So this is one atomic bomb after another.
It just keeps going. Keeps going.
So
they lose that part of the house. That's when they realize that he's behind on his taxes. They set up an agreement directly with the county to pay the taxes directly. They're paying his back taxes that he should have paid. They're paying them now. So then they come to an agreement where they're going to hold the taxes out that he's supposed to be collecting and paying, because he hasn't been doing it, obviously. And they're going to pay it to the county directly. He says, fine, that's okay. She has him on a recording, an audio recording, saying it's okay. I love her to pieces. Oh my God. That one recording saved the day. Backing up, they reach out to me and they're like, Jana, we want to sell this house. We need to upgrade. We want to buy something bigger. So I start digging in and I see, hey guys, that deed was never transferred to you. You're not the legitimate seller. Like, we need to get to get, you know who involved.
Yay.
Yeah. That's when they discovered that he didn't even transfer the deed into their name, which is contractually what he's supposed to do per their contract. So they don't technically own the house. They don't even have homeowners insurance, because they couldn't get homeowners insurance because they don't own the house. And they couldn't get rental insurance because they don't have a lease, because they own the house.
Oh my gosh, what a predicament.
So they decide to file a lawsuit. They filed a lawsuit. That's when they discover that they are significantly apart on what they think the payoff is. They think it's like $22,000. He thinks he's owed like $38,000. Huge discrepancy. So then they start squabbling over that. Lawyer needs to handle all communication. So the lawyer starts communicating with his attorney. Still can't come to an agreement on anything. But at the end of the day, that house was supposed to be transferred into their name, and it never was. So we come up with this plan to go ahead and transfer the house into their name so that they can sell the property and move on into their new home. Escrow the money that we think is the delta between their 22 and the 38. We're going to escrow that 16 grand. And when they finish their court case, then we'll figure out what happens with the extra 16K. Maybe he gets some of it, maybe they get all of it, maybe he gets all of it, just depends on what they come out of. Meanwhile, their house is already on the market and we have a buyer. We had a buyer the very first showing. They made an amazing offer. So now we've been under contract for 8 months.
Oh, wow. With those same
with this buyer on the sale of their house. We have been under contract for 8 months. So we were supposed to close on Monday, which we did, thank God. But as of Friday afternoon, we still couldn't get him to agree to sign the deed to transfer it to them Friday afternoon. Keep in mind, we've already gone under contract on their purchase. They are contingent, so they have to sell that house to buy this one. Both of those deals are closing yesterday. And on Friday last week, we still didn't have a deed transferred. So thankfully, our title company can do a double close. But basically, his lawyer forced him to come in at like 8:30 in the morning, Monday morning, and sign the deed and the agreement for the difference.
Oh, wow.
And that was what allowed them to close 4 hours later. Had that not,
oh my gosh.
I mean, the volume, the stress level was real.
That's crazy.
Because
that is absolutely
but
crazy.
At the end of the day, like, I think that was the big thing when we went to lunch afterward. I'm like, guys, it's really, really important that you tell your story, because I think other people, one, need to understand what they need to be watching out for if they're going to ever enter into this kind of arrangement with someone. Two, I think you need to talk about how you should have had a representative in those conversations, whether that's an attorney or a real estate agent. And going back and looking at their email communications, he was basically calling them stupid constantly, like uneducated. Basically, he was essentially saying they're not really sophisticated. That was his word. They're not a sophisticated group of people. In an email, I was like, I'm so glad you put that in writing, you dumbass. But anyway, they're not sophisticated. They don't really understand this process. He's done this for years, and suddenly it comes out that he has like 22 court cases over the last 10 years where he's done this to other people. This is not new to him.
So is he getting away with it?
Well, so he signed the deed. So the deed transferred to them. They closed on the sale and their purchase. So that side of it, like the property disposition, has already been taken care of. Now they're squabbling over the 16 grand. They go to mediation. Hopefully they'll come to an agreement there and we'll figure out what to do about the money. But at least the house is sold and they could move on. They closed on the purchase of their new house yesterday also, which is massive. That's huge crazy. House. It's adorable. But I had four deals that all had legal issues associated with them that were completely out of my client's control, completely out of title's control, completely out of I couldn't affect anything. It was a mess. The second thing that was going on was I ended up having to reach out to a Rushmore Servicing, which is a servicer for Mr. Cooper. This is like the second deal I had going on at the same time, because they have been delaying giving a payoff letter to my seller for over 6 weeks. Now, they were part of a security breach. They were down for a week, that very first week. So, 5 weeks. Let's just say 5 weeks, because they were up and running right away. They held this fucking payoff letter for 6 weeks. We were on a 10-day contract, cash closing, and we're delayed because we can't get a payoff letter. I ended up posting a video on TikTok calling them out, like, I need the internet's help. This is crazy. We've been asking. They're giving us the runaround. They're telling everybody that calls something completely different. It'll be there tomorrow. It'll be there by fax in 72 hours. Like all this bullshit. And they never were getting it to us. Our lender's assistant contacted me and was like, Jana, have you ever thought about going on LinkedIn and downloading all of the contact information for everybody you can find associated with this company? Send them all a mass email. I was like, what?
Oh my gosh, you're going to get into somebody's email, then that's a smart idea.
I was like, okay, walk me through that again. She's like, go on to LinkedIn. You're going to go to that company. You're going to see every employee that's listed under Rushmore Servicing and Mr. Cooper. You're going to download all of their contact information and you're going to send a mass email. Tell this woman's story in the way that only Jana could do. She's like, send a Jana email. I'm like, we'll talk about that later. Right. I need to know what you mean by that, but I think I know. She's like, you need to send a Jana email and see if you can get that payoff letter. Dude, it was 11:30 in the morning. I sent an email to 474 people. And within 4 hours, the title company had that payoff letter. And we closed the next day. I'm like, what? I can't have this much drama. I'm like, oh my God. But it worked.
That story is insane. I can't believe you sent an email to how many people?
474 people.
And within 4 hours, you got the payoff.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And the funny thing about that, they were refusing to give it to title before. They kept saying that they had to send it directly to the borrower. And I'm like, I have never in my life seen a title company accept a payoff from a borrower.
Yeah, exactly. The only, especially whenever a title company is having them put in their, like, sign a document with their social saying that they release this and the title company can get the information.
I mean,
that's ridiculous.
What the fuck?
Weird.
So
that's crazy.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, 474 emails. They sent the payoff letter to the title company in 4 hours.
Unbelievable.
There was no response.
No response, but we got to help this Jana lady because she's going to blast us all, guys. They all get into a room together. So this Jana Jeffrey, we don't want to be a bad PR. Could somebody not respond to her, but please send this payoff because who's not sending the payoff?
Who
Somebody
fucked
got
up?
in trouble, I'm sure. Who messed up today? Somebody got in trouble, no doubt. Yeah.
Got the payoff letter. It was dated for 2 weeks ago.
No.
Somebody was sitting on it.
Viable?
Yeah, it had a per diem on it, so their daily interest was already there, so she could calculate everything. It was fine, but it was dated for 2 weeks ago, which means they've been sitting on it for 2 weeks.
For nothing, for no reason, no reason at all.
Title was on the phone with them every day for 3 weeks, every single day. It took an hour to get a hold of somebody, so someone is literally sitting there on the phone one time a day, and then my seller was calling every day also.
Gosh,
and that didn't work.
That's unnecessary. Yeah, that's unnecessary.
So I just want to do a quick shout out to Lindsay Clark with Molly's team.
Ooh, she's good.
She gave me that. What did Molly call it? She called it a dark secret or a trade secret, a dark trade secret or something like that. And she's like, I heard my girl gave you some trade secrets. I was like, hell yeah, and it fucking worked too. So I owe her a drink.
Man, just get it done.
I think we should talk about the topic of the day. We have a couple, actually. You ready for it?
Okay, topic of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that same line of thinking, my topic of the day is going to be related to reading what you're signing, which seems
oh my gosh,
intuitive, you'd think, but you and I both know when people are sitting there looking at 18 page, 20, 50 pages of stuff that they need to initial, they're not reading it. It's really, really, really important people read these damn things that they're signing, because you may think you're protected and you're not. And if there are provisions in there that people are supposed to be doing something like, recording the deed so the house belongs to you, you should probably make sure that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy when people don't. I mean, I think everybody is to a degree, not everybody, but I think a lot of people are to a degree are victims of this. They've not read a contract before and then it bites them in the butt. And you're like, gosh, why didn't I just read the stinking contract? Because I didn't see the $20 cancellation fee or the whatever it was. But I think we're all kind of a little bit victims of doing that. But it's important to do, especially if you're buying, like, I don't know, a house and stuff.
Yeah, and especially if you don't have someone in the mix that's helping you. Like, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to have somebody who's trained and who knows what normal should look like and, whatever, and can navigate those hairy situations, that's just not something. You just should not go that road alone. Should not go that road alone.
No, I agree.
Please read what you're signing. Pretty please.
Please read all the things, and then don't come back to me and say, I didn't read that. Oh,
yeah.
Cry me a river then.
Yep. Sorry about your luck, man.
Right.
Although, I mean, we both use the same transaction manager. We do kind of try to go out of our way to make sure that those important details are kind of surfaced to the top, and they're more than aware of it, and they get to see the docs ahead of time. And, we do a lot to try to alleviate that issue as much as possible. I want my people to know what the hell they're signing. So we try to do a lot of that, but you and I both know when someone's stressed out and they're like, I need to get this offer in before the deadline, just click, 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 click. And they're not thinking, not reading, not asking questions.
Yeah.
when you get to the point
It'll
where
happen.
it matters, it can cause big issues. So
Yeah.
anyway,
It can mean you literally don't own the house that you live in, and somebody is currently trying to sell it at the courthouse steps for back taxes.
I'm telling you, man.
What a predicament.
I told her, I was like,
Wow.
hey, someday, whether it's just her and I, or we invite her on here, I was like, she is very entertaining for one, but two, I'm like, someday you have to come and talk about this. She's literally building a website about this guy and all of his court cases with links to the docket. She's a web designer, a web developer. She's building
Are
this
you
website
serious?
that has all of these court documents, like everything linked up, and like her whole story and everything that they've dealt with, and like all. And I'm like, I love
Oh,
it.
that's
I love it.
epic. That
Yeah,
is epic.
lawyer approved.
That's
Thank goodness.
revenge. Oh, nice. Man, that's revenge to like the 9th degree. That's impressive. That's impressive.
This gentleman will not be getting away with that bullshit ever again.
Yeah, sounds like it. Gosh, people are so schemy, man. I don't have that kind of brain capacity to be that scammy. It just doesn't, gross.
No.
Hard pass.
No.
Hard pass.
All right, your topic.
One of the things I wanted to talk about for the topic of the day is it's gonna be Valentine's Day soon, which do you know what that means in real estate?
So many things, but please do tell me.
What it means in real estate is inherently, for some reason, across the board, everybody starts deciding to buy and sell homes the weekend after Valentine's Day. I think it's because love is in the air. Okay, so let's get real. So it's the first part of January. New Year's Eve is done. Do your New Year's resolutions. Everybody's going to tell you that. All the podcasts are going to talk about their New Year's resolutions. Blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking 6 months, in advance.
Yes.
In this case, I'm thinking 45 days in advance, really. Because if you're thinking, I'm going to sell my house this spring, what that means is you better get your poop together now. Because I got to come over and look and see whether or not you got to paint. The Johnny got on the wall and you drew a chalk outline of him on the wall. Does that need painted over before we list it? The answer is yes. But sometimes I need to come over and tell you that. Okay. So you're going to need to call me or Jana and have us come over and look. And that's going to take some time. It doesn't just poof, we'll be there tomorrow. Poof, I'll be there today. Like, I probably would be there today or tomorrow, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm going to need to come over and tell you what you need to do to get your home ready for even just pictures. And if anything, but let's be honest, Jana, the majority of the time, everybody has 1,900 pictures up that don't need to be up. They have a little bric-a-brac, riff-raff. I don't know what it's called. Crap.
Knick-knacks.
That's out on the counter. Knick-knack, paddywhack, give it a bone. Okay, so yes, knick-knacks.
Came rolling home.
So a lot of people, and it's because we live in our homes, right? Yeah. Come to my house and tell me you're going to list my house and I'm going to laugh at you because I'm going to need a minute. I'm going to need a minute. Now, there are some people, like I had some friends list their house and I was like, okay, guys, so I'll see you in like a week or two once you're ready. And he goes, no, come back on Monday. And this was a Friday. No, come back on Monday, ready for pictures. And I was like, no way, Jana, they were ready for pictures. I don't think they slept. I don't think they slept for the entire 3 days.
Oh, no.
And they got it done and it was immaculate. So some people can do it quickly. Some people want to do it a little slower. Yeah. So
don't stress yourself out over it.
No, have fun with it. You're already going to be stressed out during the process. So what I'm saying is it's the first part of January. If you're thinking I'm going to list this spring, let me be the first to tell you the weekend after Valentine's Day, hands down the best time to do it. And you could do it in March too. I'm just saying that's when everything kind of starts popping off again. You're going to need time to get ready, right? So you're going to want to clean. You're going to put stuff away. I call it pare down because that's the real term. We need to order pictures. Those have to be put on the books. And then we have to get pictures and we have to do all the paperwork and we have to make sure the sign's in the yard. And la. See, this doesn't happen overnight. If you want it to happen overnight, okay, fine. We'll make it happen overnight. But for all of our mental sakes, yours included, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, call us now. Let's do it now.
I kind of walk people through this timeline of like, if you want to list in May, let's say that you want to be in your new home or sold in May. then you got to plan for being on the market for about 30 to 45 days, maybe 60, depending on how high we price it in the range, right? You're going to be on the market for, let's say, 60 days. So if you want to be in your new home by the end of May, now we're already in March. Okay, we need to list it in March, at the end of March.
Yeah.
Then, in order for us to do our best play, at least the way our team operates, we have a whole playbook. The only way we get through that entire playbook to like set a listing up for ultimate success, it's usually about 7 to 10 days to get all the photos edited, to get the booklets created, to do all this stuff, right? All the marketing prep work that takes place, which means we need to take our pictures in the beginning of March, maybe the end of February, which means we probably need to be meeting around the beginning of January, the end of January, in case we need to get some of those things taken care of. So you want to sell your house in May and be in your new place in May, we should be talking now. Now.
Yeah, no, literally. And the other day I had a past client call me, and he wants to list his condo, which I'm totally stoked about listing just because it's so beautiful. He wants to list it in February, and he calls me and he's like, is it too early to be having this conversation? I'm like, no, it's absolutely not too early to be having this conversation. No. I wish more people were proactively having these conversations, because then you're down to, hey, it's Friday night at 5. We decided we wanted to list. Can you make that happen by Thursday of next week?
Which, I mean, we can.
The answer is yes.
Of course.
We can.
It's not going to be the best.
Be stressful.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thrown up on the MLS job, like professional pictures still, but it's just, it doesn't feel as nice as if you even give yourself some time, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer. So anyways, that's my little PSA is,
I love it.
Call now. Man, I really hope that's not trademarked.
As seen on podcast, not on TV.
Not on TV, just on podcast. Call now. And everybody that's listening to this in the Kansas City area is like, oh yeah, I know exactly who that commercial is too. Which, please tell me you know who that commercial is, Jana.
I know who. I don't.
You don't?
No.
Call
I don't watch TV.
Now. It's the siding guy. He's on Nolan
siding
Road.
Guy? You don't even know who it is.
Seamless vinyl siding. I don't know the name of it. I can't remember.
Is this like radio or is this TV?
No, it's TV, and it's this older guy, and he's been doing the same thing. So the way that he ends every single commercial is he goes, call now.
Blow my
so
brains
you're
out.
like the only person. It is, but you also remember it. I don't remember the name of it.
Clearly.
Seamless vinyl siding.
You're like, I don't remember the name of the company. I'm not really sure who that guy was, but I remember they do siding.
I do also know that in the last couple of years, he's actually started to get a protege that's come in because he's getting older. And so this protege is now in the commercials with him too. And the other day, I think for the first time I heard him actually do the call now. And I was like, that just hits different.
It's just not the same.
It's just not this. It's just,
they're just going to have that guy recorded saying that for like ever.
Yeah.
That way they could just play that at the very end.
Yeah. And if you don't watch TV, of course, you don't know what it is. But anybody that's currently listening or watching to us right now in the Kansas City area that does watch TV, they 1,000% know exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, I hope somebody at that company is watching and they're like, hey, doofus, this is the name of the company, you
This
doofus.
is who we are. You should go edit and
Seamless.
We'll put your logo up on the screen if you tell us who you are.
Totally. And he's also the one that in the wintertime, he wants to keep his workers working. And so as long as the side two and the front match, there'll be some seams on the back, but you'll get a massive discount or something along those lines. So it's seamless vinyl siding. So as long as you're okay with the front and the sides being seamless and then the back having seams because it's like leftover material, it's the way he does his winter promotions to keep his guys working throughout the year. And then you get a discount for it too. Yeah, it's really good marketing. It's really
I like that.
Anyway, shout out to that guy, whoever he is.
Yeah, free promotion right here for you, buddy.
Except for I can't remember the name of the company.
Pseudo free promotion for you, buddy.
Yeah, should we figure out what it is?
Yeah, you can work on that. There's one thing I just thought of while you were talking that I wanted to bring up. Have you like I mean, we drive around all over the time. We're all over the city all the time. Like I put so many freaking miles on my truck. It's unreal. Have you seen the volume of empty, dilapidated commercial buildings in our city lately? I was
No?
at a showing yesterday in Beacon Hill. I was showing in Beacon Hill and I'm leaving to come home. So I kind of come up 29 around 70 and come back down 35, right? So I basically go into downtown. From Beacon Hill to downtown, there are so freaking many old commercial buildings that there's nothing in them. They're dilapidated. There's no activity. There's no like business signs on them. There's not even like, hey, this building's for sale or for lease. Like there's nothing. It's like a desert out there, these commercial buildings. But I've also noticed that when I'm driving around in Overland Park too, like especially around Corporate Woods and like that area, there are a lot of empty office buildings. And it got me thinking about something that I've talked about with other people quite a bit about this affordable housing crisis, transitional housing needs, shelters, things like that. And it makes me wonder if some of these buildings couldn't be taken and turned into a transitional housing unit for people who are experiencing houselessness right now, or
Oh,
turn those office buildings
absolutely.
into freaking apartments, you know? Like
Yeah.
I've seen dilapidated churches too, same thing.
Yeah, I've wondered the same thing. And there is actually a woman with Real down in Texas, I think. Anyways, she buys homes and turns them into
Transitional.
transitional housing.
Yep, we
Yeah,
do the
which I
same.
think is really cool. I don't know why these buildings sit empty. I mean, the first initial thought is, can't we turn them into like homeless shelters? But then you have way too many issues that happen at homeless shelters. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but a lot of people have been like, no, because if you kind of let homeless people, just be there on their own, they don't take care of it typically. And so that doesn't tend to work from what I understand, because there's usually some drugs and alcohol and sexual assault involved in the homeless community. And so that doesn't tend to work, which is what I originally always thought. But then once you say it like that, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes some sense. The transitional housing, anybody could buy any of those buildings and turn them into transitional housing. I mean,
Zoning
there's really
wise,
not
they'd have to
nothing.
get them rezoned, but
Yeah, but I would imagine the city would jump on any sort of rezoning if somebody was just going to put money into improvements. As
mhm.
far as like apartments, same thing. It's just a matter of, I mean, think of Mac Properties. Have you ever heard
Yeah.
of Mac
Yep.
Properties?
Mhm.
Okay. So on Armour Boulevard or 35th Street in Kansas City, not Armour Boulevard up to the north side in North Kansas City, but Armour um, in the downtown or the midtown area, they bought, I mean, gosh, they bought from what, Maine to Truce, basically. They
Mhm.
just bought all these dilapidated crap buildings and they renovated them. They revived the whole area. I actually lived in one. It's called the Belle Rive, and girl, it was as pristine as the name sounds. Well, they also did this in Chicago. So they just go in and they look at a block that's got all of these blocks, like you're talking about, all these buildings like you're talking about. They're dilapidated. They look at the block, they evaluate it, they buy every single thing up and down that entire block. And I'm talking, we're talking, what is that, 6 city blocks
Mhm.
from Maine to Truce? It's probably close to 6 city blocks. And they
Yep.
have so many buildings. They even bought fourplexes that were down there.
Yeah.
So it's not like things like these can't be done. I think the problem is because this economy has kind of squeezed everybody just a tiny bit. Everybody's in a little bit of a financial squeeze. I don't think anybody wants to put any money into infrastructure on something like that. Because,
Honestly, Moxie, I disagree. There are a lot of people that just need to know what buildings are ripe for these kinds of opportunities. And I've got a couple of investors that I work with that do a lot of shelter building and affordable housing, trying to address houselessness. And, you'd mentioned something earlier about, it kind of attracts there's some negative things that, definitely there's a stigma associated with shelters for homeless individuals. But I think when it's done right, when they have career placement and they've got, barbers and they've got those clothing companies that take donated clothing and kind of help people get ready to find a position somewhere, whatever. I think when it's an integrated services situation, you don't see drugs and sexual assault and things like that as
well,
prevalently in that kind of environment.
y- well, I also think I said it wrong though. I said shelter. What I really meant was just like a homeless community where there
Yes.
is no there is, this isn't
Like an
shelter-wise
encampment.
of any, essentially.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's where I think the struggle is, because there is nothing governing that specific place, right? So a shelter, you've got, albeit it may be volunteer, but you've got staff and you've got
Yes.
rules. And if you don't follow the rules, you don't get in. I was thinking more along the lines of putting, like, renovating those and having Mr. Bob on the streets come in and live here. But Bob on the streets potentially is there because he doesn't know how to maintain anything in life. You don't know.
Yeah.
Mental disorder, drug addiction,
Yes,
whatever it
there's
may
lots
be.
of
There's a reason
challenges.
that they're there. Yeah.
It's complex,
And
very
so
much so.
it's very and something that I know nothing of. So that's the thing that I was thinking was, could we renovate these and turn them into kind of like the encampments? But there is a reason why those encampments either don't work or they're just full of police presence consistently.
Mhm.
It just kind of is what it is. So I don't know. It's hard. It's a really hard subject, and it's one that I'm not going to solve. I mean, I'm not a politician, so I'm definitely not solving that.
I don't think it takes politicians to solve it. It takes willing individuals who are passionate about the issue, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely think that, especially in Kansas City and Midtown that you were talking about, in that area right there coming out of Beacon Hill would be a great example of that. There are opportunity zones that provide a significant amount of tax incentives and abatements and grants and city and federal contracts for grants and things like that that people could utilize to take advantage of this. Where there's a will, there's a way. All it takes is somebody that has a little bit of passion for it and some connections.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm putting it out there that I would love to help with that endeavor. Got a couple of clients that buy buildings in Kansas City. Would love to find a few more, because I do think with the volume of houselessness we experience in the Kansas City area, and especially this time of year, this is one of those things that really takes a more concerted effort. It can't just be political. It can't just be community engagement. It's got to be a more, like I said, they're folks dealing with complex issues. They take complex problem solving skills to get them off the ground. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It bummed me out to see that many old buildings that didn't have anything going on with them, and then to drive right underneath the bridge right there off of 35 and see 20 to 30 people with a porta potty. You know what I mean? Desperation does things to people that they wouldn't normally do. And so if you can provide just a small sense of security, their trajectory in their life changes. And so that's definitely
Could very
something
well change. Yeah.
I think would be helpful for all these damn buildings. And I think COVID created this situation where we've got all these buildings that are empty. And then people realize they don't need to be in a physical space to do a good job. And so they don't want to spend that kind of money. And then on top of it, you've got, we're coming up on an election year. There's lots of reasons why those buildings are empty. But man, so much opportunity.
There's a lot.
Okay.
Hey, hang on. I figured out the name of the company.
What?
Continental Siding. Continental Siding.
I did not get that.
Now.
Out of any of that did not scream Continental Siding.
Well, he's just like the face of the Continental Siding.
I know.
So it's so cute. He's so cute. He's so old. I love his little protege. But anyways,
I think they should
that's
say,
the name
like,
of the company, Continental
I think
Siding.
they should say Continental says call now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I honestly, yeah, and I think he's been saying that for so many stinking years. And you could tell that when the new kid said it the first time, and it could have very well not been the first time, but he was so uncomfortable. He was so uncomfortable. And it was so adorable to watch it happen. I was like, you're trying, buddy. I like where you're going here. So anyways, I think his name is Blake. I think that for some reason, I think the new guy's name is Blake.
Oh,
I don't know.
The junior.
I watch commercials.
All right. Well, hey.
Yeah, basically.
Let's shift over to
Off the Record. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Or wait. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Off the Record.
Dun, 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 dun.
Off the Record.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Here's what I'm going to talk about off the record. Okay. I'm going to preface this with, I do not have a PhD in medicine. I have no license. No.
You had me fooled.
I are not a doctor.
I are not a doctor.
I are not a doctor. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, What I wanted to talk about was, check mark, and you don't really even know what I'm getting ready to talk about. So this could be baddie and fantastic. Ozempic, Mounjaro, semaglutide, any of those that you want to talk about with the weight loss drug. It's actually not a weight loss drug, in case most people don't know that.
If anyone was
it's
confused.
Actually a type. If anybody was confused, it's not a weight loss drug. Does it cause weight loss? Yes. But it's not actually what it was originally intended for. Yeah, exactly. It was originally intended for pre-diabetics and type 2 diabetes or diabetics to help control their blood sugar, their cravings. Yes, one of the side effects is it does help you lose weight. But then it caught this big, huge blah, blah, blah of everybody saw that it was helping them lose weight. I, as of this morning, have lost 55 pounds on it in a year and 3 months.
And you're doing Ozempic, right?
No. I'm doing semaglutide, which I want to say is the Mounjaro one of them.
Oh, okay.
I just have always known it as semaglutide. So,
Gotcha.
And I'm probably saying that wrong, but whatever. I'm not a doctor.
Well, I tried 2. So my first one was Bidurion B-Size, and that one was way effective for me. I did that one for 14 months and I lost 86 pounds. And then I switched to Mounjaro, and I only did that one for like 6 months, and I ended up losing another 25 pounds. So I lost a little over 100 pounds.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
2 years. Same to you, girl. Looking hot, mamacita. I can now see all my fucking wrinkles. That's what I like about it.
I can see my you know.
You can see all the way to my toes.
It's kind of ironic. So let's see. In 26 months, I have lost 75 pounds altogether. Damn. And so since I have a relatively sensitive body, so like 3 Pamprin or 3 Midol get me stoned. So if that tells you side effect wise, yes, high as a kite. If I have 3 Midol, I'm high as a kite. I'm like,
I have never heard of that.
Good. I know. I'm here.
You flip on some Bob Marley. Every little thing.
Yeah, everything is good. Yeah, for real. Like, honestly, that's how I feel. It's crazy. One of the things that I actually experienced on this semaglutide is something that I don't feel like enough people are talking about. I also want to preface this with, I am on it. I am still on it. And I'm thankful for it because it has revolutionized my life, my 2 chins, the fact that I couldn't see past my chest bone.
Hootie, hootie.
Yeah. Didn't exist as far as I knew. So it did exist. Ask my husband. But
it does exist.
So it does exist. They do exist. M&Ms. Thank you. So anyways, I wanted to talk about something that nobody talks about, which is the negative side effects of these things. So I'm going to get the basics out of the way. Okay. And the basics, you're going to be like, those are the basics. So nausea. Some people have diarrhea. Some people have constipation. I lean towards the constipation, which is so weird because I used to poop like 12 times a day. Now I don't. And it's so frustrating. What are you reading?
I was just going to show you that this is what I use. Nazine.
Oh, nice.
It's
very
disgusting.
Nice.
It's gross. It tastes like a big ball of sugar, but it gets rid of that nauseous feeling real fast.
Yeah. It's crazy how quick that works. It's also crazy how quick that nausea feeling comes on.
I know.
Because it comes on quick. And I have thrown up on this medicine. Only twice, but I have thrown up on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got nausea, diarrhea or constipation, dizziness. That's been super fun. Tiredness, especially in the beginning. That was
foggy.
Awful.
Yeah.
Foggy. That brain fog was for real. All of those lovely side effects that I just mentioned, but you also have the good stuff, which is your cravings are also gone. And it also helps kind of when you are eating, because you have to eat, right? But instead of eating the entire burger, you eat 60% of it at the beginning. I'm really kind of down to eating 20%.
I know. That's how I was. Point. It was like I couldn't even eat a whole taco. I'd eat like a half a taco.
It definitely changes, which is not good because you do need to be able to eat. You do need that sustenance. It's important. But now it's different where I would have had an entire plate of spaghetti and gone back for a second plate. Now I have an entire plate of spaghetti, eat a quarter of it and give the rest to Kenny. Poor guy. But
I'm sure he's real mad about it.
Yeah. So the other thing that it helped me personally with, and this is something I may have talked about on here, is I had a gargantuan food addiction. And
No,
I
you haven't
mean
talked
to
about
the
that.
point. Okay, I haven't. So
No.
I had it was horrible. Jana, it was wake up, think about food. Eat lunch, think about food. Drive down the road, think about food. Go know that you're going to dinner, have a snack before dinner, thinking about food. My whole world started and stopped the anxiety that I felt thinking about food. And then I would eat and then I would feel bad. And I don't mean physically bad. Yes, I would feel physically bad because I was putting crap in my mouth, but I would emotionally feel, what have you done? So it got to the point where I knew I was driving home to cook one of these wonderful meals for my husband. And I knew I was going to eat it too. And I would still stop at McDonald's and get a Big Mac and scarf the Big Mac and have the fries and then go home and cook and eat that whole thing too. When I'm telling you I had an addiction, it was a full on chemical, not understanding it, not loving it, chemical addiction. And I had to break that addiction from food. And it was one of the toughest things that I've ever had to do, because you have to understand this addiction is also a relationship.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. Like usually those kinds of addictions spring up because of something. Like not to hijack your story, but my mom had a similar, like she made food constantly and there was tons of it constantly because she didn't get enough food when she was a child. And so she had food insecurity trauma basically. And so now she just, before she died, she hoards food constantly. So I was curious if that was like, was there a reason?
No, I think that it was because my mom, similarly to your mom, she would cook food a lot and she would feed us. She would feed us, right? And so for some reason at a young age, I associated love with food. And so even if that's not really what it was, even to this day though, you go to her house, are you hungry? It's just in her. It's just how she shows her love. And nothing disparaging against her. That's just how she shows her love. But I associated it as a very young age as this food must mean love. And when I wasn't feeling love, well, food is my association with love. So since I'm not feeling love, this food is the only thing that I can associate. So I'm going to stuff it so that my stomach is full so I can feel love. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not kidding. It ruled every single aspect of my life, but nobody knew about it. I only shared it with Kenny, probably 6 months before I started this medicine. I told him, I was like, I need you to understand, I have a very serious problem. And I didn't tell anybody else about it. Nobody else knew that I was this severe of an issue. So you have to think about that. I was 37 years old, almost 37 years old whenever I got on this medicine. So I have a full teenage, all 20s, most of my 30s relationship with food. And to now figure out how to break that relationship with food, holy mackerel.
It's true. That's rough.
I'm so glad I was in therapy whenever I started to realize this was a thing that I needed to figure out. Now I don't have a bad relationship with food. Like right before we started, I was munching down on my lunch here. Not a great lunch, but I had 3 chicken strips. I ate 1 1/4 chicken strips and 2 bites of my mashed potatoes. Not a great lunch by any stretch, but it's also the only thing I've had all day. I needed to get something in me, but I used to would have eaten all 3 of these chicken strips, all the green beans, all the mashed potatoes, and both the honey mustards. And now this meal could last me another 2 meals. And now I'm not shoving it down for comfort. So it's completely different. So that's actually not the side effect I wanted to talk about though. The side effect that I wanted to talk about that I don't think anybody is speaking on is if you listen to Ozempic's commercial, at the very, very, very end of their commercial, one of the last things that commercial says is could cause thoughts and depression. But everybody just skates right over that side effect. Okay. Spoken with a musician, my primary care, I've spoken with a cardiologist and 2 or 3 other doctors. I've spoken to them and said, hey, I feel crazy. So this was last December. I started to feel crazy. I had been on the medicine for about 3 months at that point. I started to literally feel crazy. I couldn't get my eyes to stop doing this. And I mean, it was bad. Like, you know how you just, as you naturally talk, you're looking around. That was not what this was. This was, it was a
tick.
It was
like you
scary.
couldn't control it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know how if you're driving in the car and all the cars are going by and you're trying to catch all of them at the same time, that's how my eyes felt consistently.
Oof.
I wasn't feeling like I had a stable mood. I know I didn't have a stable mood. My thoughts were just spinning. I mean, I eventually figured out like the front lobe felt like thoughts were just spinning out of control.
Yeah.
Yes, just an uncontrollably racing. And I suffered through that for a very long time because I have seasonal depression. And I just thought this is just seasonal depression, right? So, and we've spoken about that before.
Yeah.
So, which is not good, by the way. So I just thought this was
medicated. Medicated.
Yeah.
Seasonal.
Well, hey, whatever works.
All season.
I really just thought like this was my seasonal depression rearing its ugly head in a different way because we had also done IVF. And so, you know, with those hormones, and then this has hormones. So I struggled through it for a very long time. And by March, I went into a psych ward and they wanted to admit me for 10 days. I think I might have spoken about that in the last episode that we talked about all that stuff. But what I really came to the conclusion of is this medicine throws off so many hormones that your body doesn't necessarily know how to regulate them. So I wanted to talk about this, not because get off this, because I'm still on it. I am still on it, even though I know this is a side effect.
Well, it's helping something else that's also very important.
It's helping something else, which sucks because you got to have medicine to have medicine and medicine to feel medicine. Like it's so stupid, but
it's better living through chemistry.
Wanted people, I guess. I wanted people, anybody that was potentially listening to this that was on one of those medications that was feeling crazy or feeling out of control or whatever you want to call it. I just want this to be something that people talk about because no one is talking about this. I talked to my psychiatrist the other day. I had a therapy session by myself and I mentioned this to her and she goes, I couldn't believe that she said this, Jana. She goes, I wish more people would speak about this. And I was like, whoa. So some people do know. Some people are understanding this is real and it's in your face, but nobody's talking about it. The medical professionals seems like they for sure aren't talking about it, but anyways, I know this is a gigantic soapbox. I just wanted people to know if you're taking this and you're feeling crazy and out of sorts and uncontrollable, get help. It's easy to get help. Like it's not hard. It's not hard at all. An antidepressant, a mood stabilizer, get off of it, whatever it may be. But do not struggle through this because it will lead to potentially destroying your whole life. And I know of at least 2 relationships that struggled outside of mine until they figured out, oh my gosh, this is potentially, I had said, hey, this is a side effect that you may feel. They finally walked through that. One of them got on an antidepressant and they're like, wholly different world. The other one, they finally figured it out. He had to get off the medicine completely because he thought he was losing his mind. So this doesn't just affect women. This affects men too. So
for sure.
Anyways, there's my off the record because I'm not a doctor. I just think it's so important that people know you're not alone and this is real. This is real. This is a big side effect. Huge.
Well, and I think for me, like I started taking the B size. I was rehabbing houses and I was having to get injections in my spine because my discs, I have degenerative disc disease. So they rub together basically and it's bad. So I kept having to go in for a chiropractor and I kept having to go get these steroid injections in my back. And I was like, and my knees were starting to hurt and they were starting to tell me, hey, we can do injections in those too. And I was like, no, this is enough. Oof. I'm like, this is enough. Ooh. I mean, I weighed a lot. I was 267 pounds at my heaviest and it was killing my back and it was killing my knees. So they started giving me this B size and it's an injection. I think the one you're doing is an injection as well, which is, challenging in and of itself, but man, having that weight come off and then be able to like walk for more than a mile.
Walk,
Just walk.
simple. What a weird concept.
Upright.
I can now walk.
Right?
Yeah. I don't need to take a break. Nobody has to stop for me. I'm not out of
No.
breath. I just can walk
I can
now.
do
It's
the
incredible.
things. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But I didn't
It's
necessarily
crazy.
have the mood issues, but my issues were primarily related to I don't eat a lot of meat, so I don't get a lot of protein anyway. And then you couple that with really not eating very much. I mean, my calorie
Yeah.
intake, I was keeping track of it because it started to kind of freak me out a little bit. I mean, I was taking in 600 to 800 calories a day. That was it.
Oh,
And that's
not a
fluid
lot.
included.
Whew.
That's including,
Whoa.
whatever I was drinking as well.
Yeah.
And so like I lost weight really fast, which was fantastic, but it also like messed with my stomach. So that medication like regulates your blood sugar and your hormones, and it can make you start dumping, which if you're not familiar with what that is, it is an unpleasant occurrence about 5 minutes after you eat.
Oh, yeah.
Like it just, you feel like it literally goes through you.
Yeah. Well, honestly, Jana, that's what I lived with before I got on this medicine. That's what I lived with before. Now it's completely different.
Interesting. Yeah. For me, I didn't have a gallbladder. I had my gallbladder removed. I had therapy, and my very first chemo treatment made gallstones, and they had to do an emergency surgery to take my gallbladder out, which that's the thing that like processes fat and stuff like that, which really sucked because I really like pizza and things that have, a lot of fat in them. Well, now you can't process them. But anyway, once I had my gallbladder taken out, that's when the dumping started.
Yeah.
But it got way worse.
And that's medication. Mine got worse after my gallbladder was taken out too. But I was up to 12 times a day. You want to talk about poop your pants? Hello, party of one. Yeah. Like your body is saying this has got to go. I definitely have dookied in my dookies. Okay. True story. True story. But no, this medicine's been backwards for me. It's been pretty fantastic.
That's awesome.
It's like I have a normal life. It's incredibly different.
Yeah. I know, right? It is different.
Isn't it weird how these affect everybody so differently?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So not everybody's going to feel the mood stuff. I wish that I hadn't been so confused.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
I was so confused and nobody knew what I was talking about. And I'm not going to say nobody was listening. They just didn't know. And they didn't, even my primary care, I went to her and I spoke about it. And she, as I was in the appointment, she looked up the side effects and she's like, I don't see anything about that. Girl, if you scroll long enough, you will find suicidal thoughts and depression is in there and it's real. And then about a month ago, my brother sent me an article speaking about how it's now a thing that people are talking
really
about.
Talk about it quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. They're starting to kind of get on board, which I'm happy about. So I want to scream it to the world. If you feel crazy, you're allowed to feel crazy, girl. You ain't crazy or guy, whatever. It's the medicine. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I got another one for you. You ready for it? Left field listings, where we're going to talk about crazy, ridiculous listings. Ready?
I love it. Left field listings. Let's do it.
This one is kind of funny. It's the Bonita Domes in Joshua Tree, California. They're like, it looks like a little community of Hobbit homes, I feel like. Look at this price, though. $1.8 million for this dome house. Okay? All right,
that's
ready?
Crazy.
But look at it. It's so cute.
Oh, it is cute.
Once you get inside, there's not a lot of lighting, but this bugs me. Like a single shower, like with
that's weird.
It is weird, right?
Ooh, what? It's outside.
Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, it is Joshua Tree, California, and it does look a little bit like the desert for sure. But okay. Look at that. What?
That's where the mother-in-law's kept. That is a real mother-in-law's quarters.
That's where we put Mama.
She can live there, die there, be buried there. There you are, Mom.
It's her mausoleum. I don't know what the hell that is, but it's so weird. So weird.
It looks like a mausoleum for real. That's crazy.
Then look, you've got this really neat little fire pit, like place where you could sit down and hang out.
Nothing for me.
And you don't like
I'm
that?
not there for that.
In the desert,
no.
when it's nice and chilly, and they have a fire.
Ew, gross.
No,
it's outside.
Okay. What about the pool? Do we like the pool? The pool looks awesome. I'm a fan.
Whatever.
You're like, ugh. But then look at this compound. Look at this. Like all these little tiny domes everywhere.
That's crazy.
They should have
that is literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they should have like taken the time and like gotten a tunnel system, especially when it's like 175,000 degrees out there.
Who's to say they don't have that?
It might be there. That would be awesome.
I'm just saying.
That would be awesome. All right, I got another one for you. Ready?
Okay.
This is the one that you shared with me. All right, check it out. You sent this to me.
What do we got?
Talk to me about this.
Yes. Oh, this was so cool. So this guy just decided he wanted to live in a plane. And so I think he was a flight instructor. He converted this plane into a full-on AirBNB. And the craziest part, my favorite part, you see that left wing right there?
Yeah.
That actually holds a patio. So you get to sit on the wing of the plane and it's the patio.
Oh, I love it.
Right? Yeah. So this is like the living room area. And then off that open door is where the wing is.
Look at this. They like lifted up.
That's the door. It actually closes down so that your laundry room is kind of separated at that point.
Really?
So you see that wing right there where it's got like the patio? What he said he wanted the next step to be was he wanted to put a hot tub out on that patio. So you could literally be sitting on a wing of a plane in a hot tub.
Oh my God. Look at that.
So cool. I know. I'm telling you, this is one of the coolest things ever. They have done this so right. It's unbelievable. I think you can rent it on Airbnb.
Yeah.
It's cool. That's like maybe the beginning part of it or something.
Oh, yeah. Where they're showing like how
Yeah, that's the beginning of it.
Oh my gosh.
Where he originally bought it. They did such a good job.
Well, hey girl, this was fun.
Yep. Let's do another one.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get back to our days.
See you later, Gator.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
We know you're probably potty watching or avoiding doing something domestic today, and we're glad you found us instead.
If you've got a crazy real estate story to share,
burning questions you want the real tea spilt on,
or maybe you want to sponsor our little production, we want to hear from you. Shoot us an email so that we can collaborate. And until next time, guys,
we'll be a hot mess, and you keep doing you, boo-boo.
Make it a great day.